All right, this is the Oz report for March 16th, 2025, and we have a absolutely massive patch that went live on March 12th, which is going to be the main driver for a lot of these uh, market changes. Let's start with our dashboard to look at the macro level first. So clearly, I'm not going to talk about Moon Materials this month all that much because they're just all over the place. They have been all over the place. We still have the overall trend in place that R4 and R8 moons are much cheaper than they were pre-Metanox, right? They've gone down again this week, but they've been very erratic, and everything, all the other moon materials are going up. We've had so many different changes going on that this market just needs to settle. So let's not talk about moon materials this month. Let's focus instead on minerals, because this patch was squarely aimed at basic minerals. We have a tier 3 mining site that is new. We just talked about new ore modules. We have refining changes. We've had reduction in the need for materials in capital ships, in dreads, in battleships. And so across the board, we've just seen a whole bunch of measures that were aimed at reducing the mineral prices across Eve. And since the patch has gone live, we've seen overall about a 5% reduction, which is, not insane. But then again, a lot of these were announced. A lot of these changes were already announced a couple of weeks ago. So this didn't come as a huge surprise on patch day. So overall, we're seeing Maxilon down about 10%, Noxium down 7%, Megasite and Morphite both down 6%. The only one that didn't really change all that much this week was Pyrite, but that had already dropped down quite significantly before. But overall, it remains to be seen what the impact is, but clearly this isn't the end of it. Expect mineral prices to keep on falling over the next month or two because the impacts were just sweeping. It will take some time for these tier 3 sites to have an impact, to some of the alliances in Null to shift production and mining. But if the prices of mineral barges are any indication that we see down here, people are out mining. Mining barges prices are up 7%, which is quite a big jump, and their availability is only about one trade day. So clearly, people are eager to try out the mining changes. People jumping on the market to buy the ships associated with it, which is good. On the other hand, if you look at the other ship categories I just mentioned, capital ship prices in the Forge really aren't something you should look at, because that's not where capital ships are traded, outside of freighters and jump freighters possibly. But you see battleships down 5%, you see battle cruisers down 5%. Overall, we are starting to see the impact, and if specifically when we look at our Oz report dashboard later on items that are most impacted, you can see that the things that are dropping in price are dominated by battleships. Just overall, tier 1 battleships have dropped in price about 20 to 25%. So that's good. That's good to see. Let's see what kind of impact that's going to have on the overall meta. Let's quickly talk about PI, because this patch introduced, on top of the PI templates that were already in, a PI restart button. And even though it's not a reset button, as a lot of people want, that will reset the extraction heads regardless of whether they have expired or not, this is a big change, and one that has been asked for a long time. And with all the changes that we've seen recently to PI, and now a reduction of PI usage in a lot of these ship categories, expect PI prices to drop. They didn't drop a lot. Now we're at a OPI, an Oz price index here of 100. That means that the current price of PI on average is that of the 52-week average. But expect that to drop down. There's almost no way that PI prices aren't going to drop. People are going to do more PI. They're going to have a simpler time running their setups. They're going to have a better time running more characters on PI. And so the threshold, the pain threshold, as somebody put it in chat earlier, has been reduced quite a lot for doing PI. And so more people are going to do it. Some people that didn't consider it before are going to do it, and some people that have dropped it are going to go back to it. And so overall, PI is going to go down. That's going to have a knock-on effect for the entire economy. Structure prices are going to go down. Interestingly, they already went down 5% this week, which might not be directly PI related, but overall, prices are going to be dropping. And then it's interesting if we find the balance between supply and demand, because if prices drop too much, we're going to see an increase in production, hopefully an increase of destruction, and hopefully all of that will keep its balance and everyone will be happy. That's certainly what CCP is aiming for with these changes. But it's very much a very delicate balance that we have to find, and that's why CCP is making these small incremental changes rather than the sweeping changes that sometimes are expected by the player base. Plex and Plex adjacent items are really not that interesting this week. Plex has not changed all that much over the last weeks. It's been fairly steady. There's not been any major new Eden Store sales. Now there's a Plex sale going on. So yes, there is movement, but the focus has certainly been on other items, and the same with skill injectors and skill extractors. Having said that, if we look at the skill farming formula here, it's about 1 billion, as it has been. So skill farming becoming a little bit more profitable, but if you look at the 12-month Plex pricing of skill farming, it's still vastly negative. And in that environment, expect injectors to not drop any more in price all that much. Expect Plex to stay consistent, and extractors also. Having said that, you will in a lot of situations, a new Eden Store sale that might always be looming around the corner can change that dynamic drastically. And it doesn't look like CCP has cooled off on these sales. It seems like the sales are going quite well for them. And as Ratadi said in the interview that I did on the stream last Thursday, they don't want to actively manage Plex. They see Plex as something that will manage itself. And so clearly they are going to keep an eye on the amount of sales that they're doing, because they're looking at the average revenue per player as a very important component of their financial success as a company. But overall, I think there's still a lot of speculation to be made with Plex and Plex adjacent items. Let's see. We talked about ship prices already. Let me quickly mention something I've added as a separate category. I've added these 3 categories to the report: molecular forging tools, molecular forged materials, and advanced protective technology. Overall, I broke this out. This is 250 billion of daily trade volume. It's massive, right? It is massive, and these are the exploration items needed in capital production, in ship production. And we talked about this earlier on the stream. Now that a lot of the mineral and PI components of these ships have been reduced, more focus is going to shift towards these exploration items. They have spiked massively over the past weeks because they are simply a bottleneck. You need these exploration items to create dreads. Right now, that's where the focus is. A lot of dreads. And you can't just create them from thin air. You can't just go out and easily mine more of it like you could with minerals, especially with the mineral changes with the mining changes that we have seen. These rely on explorers to go out and find these sites. So even the amount of sites available limits how many of these items are available for production. And so right now there's a lot of market speculation going on. There's a lot of denying other alliances to build dreads by buying up these modules going on, if you believe Reddit or various discords that you might be following. But in the end, it's another lever, and so that's where a lot of this focus is going to be on in the next weeks. Is how much of a bottleneck are these? Are there enough out there? Are they hitting the market? Are alliances able to get these to keep dread production going, or is the increased price of these exploration materials going to offset the reduction in mineral and PI requirements? So very interesting. Keep an eye on those, but it's definitely a very interesting macroeconomic challenge for EVE Online right now, and something that the CSM has been discussing heavily with CCP. The market availability is just not great, not great, as Fertility is pointing out in the chat. Let's quickly have a look at the Oz Report dashboard as well. These are the items that are going up, going down, etc., etc. Let me just point out just a few things here. We're seeing some R32 and R64 Mu material spike that is increased production, certainly. These Moon materials, as I said in the beginning of the Oz report, they've just been incredibly spiky. Malachite mycosarosin here, up 15%. That is a gas, and it is going up because of dread production. So if we look at the dread production that we were looking at earlier, you can see that lime mycosarosin and malachite mycosarosin, if you look at a Revelation, for example, Blueprint, are also up there in the component list. So clearly production is up. We see that in the MER. Clearly people are eager to jump on cheaper dreads that are only being hampered by the exploration materials that I was mentioned earlier. So very interesting time to be witnessing here in the EVE Online economy. Trending down this week, we have battleship. So Raven, Tempest, Dominix, Megathron, all the popular tier 1 battleships are down 25%, as you would expect. That's what the patch targeted. Reduced tier 1 battleship prices, and probably a little bit of a market panic as well here. If people had stockpiles, clearly they want to get rid of them as quickly as possible. There shouldn't really be an overreaction like this, but I think it's a double whammy of lower mineral prices expected, less minerals being used in these tier 1 ships. So overall, a lot of this can be compounding effects of the March 12th patch. We're seeing mining barges in short supply. The Hulk is in very short supply. The Retriever is and the Mechanor have also been dropped heavily in on the supply sector. So definitely mining barges are being bought, being flown. Very, very, very good. That's it. We're gonna wrap it up here, and I'm gonna catch some sleep apparently. I'll see you guys next week for the next Oz report. All right. Bye-bye.